Hi, this is Dan Williams, and you're listening to the Pocket Mentors podcast. This is a show that could not have been created without the help of all my amazing guests. They range from brand builders to therapists, from co-founders and founders to motivational speakers, from business mentors to managing directors and CEOs running their own businesses at this time. The one thing they've all got in common is that they're all facing their own challenges. They're going through the same ups and downs that you're about to experience. So they talk about their highs and lows, the journeys that have got them from A to Z, and how they've overcome all these incredible obstacles, and they've become resilient and come out stronger. They really want to share their stories with you to help you, whether or not you're creating your own business, your own brand, or if you're currently in your own business and you're facing your own challenges at this moment in time. I really believe that this podcast can help you no matter where you currently are with your life. So sit back, get on your bike, plug in your headphones, go on your run, start your cooking, whatever it is you're about to do by listening to this podcast, and enjoy. Hi Wizz, how you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good. Really appreciate this. I don't know if you just want to start off just telling people a bit about you and like where your career started off and then where you've ended up, etc.
Yeah.
And I'll jump in.
No problem. Yeah, my name's Wizz. I have a consultancy business for beauty brands and retailers called Wizz and Co. We work with indie brands, large established brands, retailers, brands of different shapes and sizes on their business strategy. I suppose the overall aim is to stand out in a crowded market. And yeah, we help them scale.
What would because I'm in the industry, and terms get thrown about quite a lot, and I'm just conscious there's a few of my mates that don't know the industry at all. And what does indie beauty mean?
It stands for independent. It's probably the hottest buzzword in beauty, but yeah, it's quite beauty specific. But I suppose one of the reasons I love the beauty industry actually is I think it leads lots of other industries as well, and you'll start to see some of the trends that happen in beauty go across other categories as well. And I think I suppose across the whole of retail, or I suppose consumer goods, there's a big rise in independent brands and people either wanting to shop local, and whether it's people getting milk delivered again.
It's like the craft beer explosion.
Yeah, exactly. So craft beer is indie brands and unicorn brands they're calling them. So super successful, fast growing brands that make £1 billion very quickly. I suppose it's every indie brand's dream. But yeah, there's a couple of those.
There's not many, is there?
Yeah.
So where did it all start then?
Well, I started my career. So after I went to university, I went and worked at Selfridges.
What did you study at university?
Textile design and retail management.
Oh, okay. What university was that?
At Birmingham. It's now called Birmingham City.
Oh, okay.
So, it was exciting. I was quite creative, so I kind of followed my heart and did creativity, but actually really wanted to go into a career that was, I suppose, business and creative, which is why I specialised in retail management, and buying seemed to be, a good option. So after being told by recruitment consultants that I'd never get a job in buying, I went on to, run head of buying at Selfridges. So
that's insane. So, and why were they saying to you you're never going to get a job in buying at that time?
Because I didn't have any work. Yeah, I know. I mean, I think it's important to share these things because I went on and did it. So I just went in a different direction to get there. Yeah. Because I didn't have any work experience. And I think it's probably a challenge with everybody is how do you get the experience if no one's going to give you the chance? So I started off going in as an allocator, which in the industry is it's managing the stock basically. So making sure you have enough of the right stock in the right place at the right time and transferring things between stores if you didn't.
Yeah.
And that was great because it was a foot in the door to work in a buying office, which was really exciting. So I worked very closely with the buyers as part of what was called the merchandising team.
And properly, like almost premeditated, you knew you wanted to be a buyer at that stage. So it wasn't like you just started at the ground level and just saw where it would go. You were like, blinkers on, I know exactly what I want. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it was great experience. And actually after 3 months, they said, oh, actually we're restructuring, so you haven't got a job anymore. But actually that worked out well because I moved across to buying after 7 months instead of probably doing that role for 12 to 18 months. Okay. So that was another blessing in disguise. And then, I worked across women's wear, menswear. I moved to beauty, and then I moved to buyer for luggage. Not very glamorous, but was still exciting. Then I was buyer for accessories, so every girl's dream, buying handbags for a living. And then I moved to manage the beauty buying team.
Wow! And how old were you at that point when you were managing the team?
Early 30s.
Oh, okay. And how was the team around you? Were they older or younger, or just a mixture?
Younger, really. Yeah. Okay. Most people in buying are quite young, quite creative. Yeah. I think you kind of need to move around quite a lot. It's very trend led, so you need to be quite focused on what's going on in the market. So.
And was that because you wanted to be a buyer before you knew what buying was like? When you finally got the buying job and then the head of buying, was that like everything you imagined it to be, and were you loving it, or were you like, oh no, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be like?
I don't think I thought about it that much, to be honest. The dream was always to be a buyer. That was the ultimate goal, I think. And then again, I did a bit of a funny move buying luggage, which wasn't very glamorous, but at the end of the day, it got me into the next level, which was good. So buying accessories, I think, was probably the pinnacle and that dream job. I was like, okay, this is it. I've made it. And I had this aim that I wanted to be a buyer before I was 30. Yeah. And I did that when I was 29. So I was pleased with that.
You always, have you always had goals? Did you always set goals, or that was just one of the goals that you had at the time and that was it?
Yeah, I think definitely had goals. I think once I got to buyer, then I was like, right, I'm going to run Selfridges. So they've been quite advanced goals, but why not? Think blue sky. So I just wanted to climb as high as possible, and I suppose what I thought was corporate at that stage. Yeah. And then I've definitely pivoted. So it's interesting what different things come up.
And then, so what prompted the change from that when you were doing the job that you were doing to then? Did you take there for 12 years? Or?
12 years, yeah, which is a long time. I got to 6 years and I was like, this is longer than I've been at a school. And then I got to 10 years and I was like, wow, 10 years.
Did you get anything for being there for 10 years?
Yeah, small gift, champagne and a voucher.
Oh, nice.
So that was nice. And lots of people have been at Selfridges for a very long time, which is nice. So I've got some of my best friends still work there, which is great, or have worked there. So I just thought, what next? Am I going to stay here forever? Which I kind of knew I didn't want to do, but I didn't know what else to do. So
you can definitely get comfortable, can't you, when you're doing what you're doing? Okay.
And I'd moved around a lot. I'd had so many different roles there. I think I'd had 7 in 12 years, which is a lot of moving around. So although it felt like I'd been in one company, it's such a fast moving company and constantly evolving. There's so many new projects. There is a lot of change. So on reflection, that's, I suppose, quite entrepreneurial in a way, which is what I enjoy about my business now, is the variety.
Yeah.
I then went and worked for brands after Selfridges because I didn't want to go to another retailer.
Okay. And what brands did you work with after?
So I went to Soho House, where they have a couple of retail brands, Cowshed, which is obviously beauty that I know well, and they were launching an interiors range when I joined called Soho Home. So that was launching that into new distribution channels. So we launched that with Liberty and Mr. Porter, John Lewis and Anthropology. So that was really exciting, I suppose, to set a distribution strategy with a new product range.
Did it help you now you're on the brand side, did it help being a buyer previously? Because that's always something that I've, that's the one, I don't have many regrets, I don't think really, but I've always really been on the account management sales side. Yeah. I've never had that experience of buying, and I think that would really help. So did it help you?
Yeah, it definitely helped me understand, I suppose, challenges that brands have. but then I understand the buying side as well. I mean, I was at Selfridges leading the buying team there. There's about 500 brands. If you think about the fragrance hall, the main beauty hall, all of the indie brands and the services. When I was there was 2 buyers and 3 people beneath them across the 2. So we had a team of, a very small team, kind of like 5 or 6 people. So to manage that amount of brands, so although I was sat on the other side of the table, I knew why those buyers were ignoring all of our emails. Because they just can't get through them. So it's, I'm really glad I've experienced both. It's interesting.
And then, so what is it that, how long were you working with Soho House and other brands for? Was that?
Just for 18 months. And then, I decided I really missed the variety of working with lots of different brands. I suppose I was exposed to almost every big brand in the industry's strategy and what their plans and goals were.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it really was. And Selfridges was such an important account for a lot of those big brands. It was often their number 1 account globally, which was hugely exciting. So, and although you're in Selfridges and they could take lots of money, it's ultimately the most competitive place ever, because it's a beauty playground and you're competing with all these other counters that are right next door to you. So I kind of realised I was actually working with these brands quite closely, and they'd come and say, we've got this new product launch, we want to launch it with you exclusively, how can we launch it? And they'd come up with, I suppose, part of an idea, and then we'd always kind of co-create a way to make it much stronger, because I suppose I had the knowledge of what really worked, what really made the customers tick and what they wanted, and then we could, I suppose, work together and execute that within Selfridges. So I suppose that's what's led me into working with either big established brands on helping them stand out and get that cut through. And at the end of the day, it's all about how you engage with the customer. But also, I know from working with lots of indie brands in Selfridges, the importance of standing out there and how to get spotted by buyers. So and I've got the skills, obviously, I know how everything works, so I can help them on the business side and how to grow.
So when you were like working at your last job, how did you then, this is what I always find really interesting, what did you suddenly decide one day, right, I need to do my own thing? Or had you started already thinking, I quite fancy doing something on my own, and then you started something happening? Or was it like a clean break? Was there a catalyst or anything?
Yeah, I mean, the role just, it wasn't right. So I was just like, what do I do next? So I suppose it was a period of time of kind of thinking things through, and then looking at full-time jobs, networking with lots of people. My partner does consultancy, so he was really integral to helping me, I suppose, how to structure and think about consulting. And actually I saw one of my old suppliers from Selfridges, and he said, look, do you want to help? I can give you a consultancy project. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Thought we were just having a coffee. And I was a bit like, okay, let's do this.
Nice. So like networks, again, it's like people you know and you've met over the years. That's been something that I think like every single person that I've chatted to, something's happened because, and at the time of knowing them, they had no idea they'd ever get involved or do anything remotely together or anything like that. So, so that was your first consultancy role.
Yeah, brilliant. So I suppose learn on the job, but with the support of my partner, which has been amazing. Because you start and there's just a bit of a minefield at first, because you know how to do your job, but how do you, I suppose, position that or charge for it or put a scope of work together, and what are the deliverables, and there's lots of interesting elements to it. So
I bet. And how long have you been doing Wizz and Co? That's the website and the company name, isn't it?
Yes, Wizz and Co. So I've been doing it for about 2.5 years now.
Oh wow, okay. And then, so how did you start? Because it's all, you're selling your time and experience, aren't you? So how do you go about putting a value on that?
I mean, that was one of my hardest things, actually. I mean, having been a buyer, I've done some really advanced negotiation work, and used to be tough to negotiate with, and you couldn't squeeze much out of me. But and you had to be, that was your job, and you had very strict KPIs, so you had to negotiate hard. And then when it became talking about, I suppose, my value and my business, everything was suddenly really personal, and it was really hard to negotiate or to talk about money. So I found that I was quite surprised by that. So it's definitely something I then had to work on and overcome.
Okay, and a lot of people I've spoken to, especially from a consultancy, initially in the early days, they found themselves, rather than overvaluing themselves or even what they're worth, they found that they were undervaluing.
Yeah.
And really underestimating the amount of time that would go into to working on a project and delivering a project. Did you find that difficult initially?
Actually, I was almost the flip of that, which was interesting because, again, I'd had my partner's advice on that one and how to understand my value and how to kind of quantify things. So I suppose didn't have that challenge, but I had certainly over-delivered on projects. And I suppose in that way undervalued my time.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. And why do you think that's just because you were really involved in what you were doing and you love it and you're passionate, so you just threw yourself hook, line and sinker?
Yeah, different variables and different occasions, really. So yeah, sometimes that underestimating time is definitely one, or maybe not in early days, not quite having the scopes or the deliverables quite set out enough. But yeah, you learn something each time. I think you're constantly learning throughout your whole life. So
I'm sure every industry you're in is the same, but I'm only talking about this one because we're all in the same industry. A lot of the people I'm chatting to are. With a lot of people at certain times tend to go into a consultancy, or they have a bit of like a dalliance into it and they give it a crack. How you're clearly being very successful. How do you stand out? Like, because there's so many people. I personally, I've come across quite a few, and I couldn't tell you why, other than the actual personalities.
Yeah.
But I only get to know the personalities once I've had a meeting with them and had a chat with them. So how do you stand out, like, above and beyond all the other consultants that are out there?
Again, it's a challenge. It's about your network. I think I was in a great position because I do have a big network from Selfridges. I mean, working with about 500 brands at one time, lots of people know who I am. And I've been very lucky that through networking a lot, and I put a lot of effort into networking and I suppose keeping my name out there. Most of the work I've had has come to me directly, which has been great. And now I'm at a point where I'm really focusing on my personal branding. I'm about to rebrand the business, which actually when this goes live, it will be there already. So you'll see new visuals coming out, a brand identity. I'm doing a lot more around digital marketing, a lot more of public speaking and talking. So there's so many different variables. And I think it's the same if you're a brand and you need to stand out. Ultimately, as a consultancy business, I suppose I am the brand. So yeah, it's about my reputation, how I position myself, and especially what people say behind my back, I think is ultimately the key.
So what sort of events do you go to? I know you do like the speaking, but I just wanted to touch on what events you do go to for networking.
All sorts, really. I suppose definitely beauty industry ones. I'm a patron of the British Beauty Council, which is a great organisation for people to sign up to their emails if they don't have them. I'm a member of CEW, Cosmetics Executive Women, so I go to quite a lot of their events, which are really interesting. And then all sorts of events, really. Just seeing things on LinkedIn. If I've had, I suppose, lulls where things have been a quiet week or something, I'll just look on Eventbrite and I'll search retail or search beauty or search a topic, and I've just gone to some random ones, really.
That's a good idea. I've seen quite a few. Well, I've actually attended quite a few that I've seen on Eventbrite. Something I always forget to have a look at, actually, if I'm thinking of doing one. So I need to that myself.
If you're feeling inspired and you've got some time, I just type in a topic and so many things come up.
That's a great idea.
And my network as well. People invite me.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love.
I like the networking. Definitely like that part and chatting and meeting people.
Yeah.
The other bit though, the fact that I do find intriguing is the public speaking bit. You're doing that. Is that something you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I do. I think because I used to be very shy as a child, and I think I enjoy it now because when I was younger, I thought I would never have been able to do that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's been my focus. Yeah, for this year actually was to get more public speaking.
So over the past couple of years, you've always enjoyed it. I'm curious because I hate public speaking.
Yeah.
And I'd say I've never been a shy person, and I don't mind being loud and boisterous, but I'm more, it's kind of like when it's on my terms a little bit. And when suddenly I've got to go up there and talk in front of people, I'm definitely royally out of my comfort zone. So you get on stage and you enjoy it.
Yeah, I like putting myself out of my comfort zone, and that's one of the ways of doing it, really. Yeah, I mean, I agree to it. I plan for it. I get real butterflies before I do it, but you come off stage and there's an amazing buzz.
Did you do a lot of planning with it?
I do more so now. I did some before when I was at Selfridges, and I kind of just stood up and talked, winged it a bit because it wasn't as important. Whereas now it's my business, and I definitely prep a lot more now.
And you rehearse it quite a lot.
Yeah, I think it's important too. Yeah, I read a great book, Talk Like TED, which is about TED Talks, which is a brilliant read and actually really helps you structure, I think, any presentation you're doing, even if it's a strategy document. It's about breaking things down into threes. So that was really useful about how people, I suppose, listen to a message as well, and there's only so much that people can listen to as well. So.
Yeah, with some of the most fascinating people. I love TED Talks, by the way. I watch them all the time. But I find I subscribe. I've got it on my TV, and I can absolutely get lost for hours, though, like TED Talk after TED. And it doesn't even matter what the subject is, because some of them are just incredible. But all the best ones are these storytellers, aren't they? Where they're literally giving, I don't know, an anecdote, or they're telling a story all the way through it. And I've been absolutely gripped. So I've got that same book that you just talked about, but one I haven't actually read yet. And it's probably because I don't want to put myself out there and get out. I don't mind putting myself out of my comfort zone when it's something I'm excited about doing. I think that's the one I can get up and talk in front of people within the company and stuff like that. But I think it's probably more that having the confidence in what you're talking about, isn't it? I think that would be the piece for me. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm sure you can find a topic.
What have been the real, if you've got any actually, it sounds like you're smashing it, but have there been any big challenges since you've started doing your own thing that you've really struggled with?
Yeah, definitely lots of challenges, which I think that's what I love about consultancy is like almost a week is like not quite a year, but it's like a really long period of time. So much changes in it, which is what I like. And so you learn so much quicker. I think it's quite hard to plan your income, which is a challenge, certainly when you're building a business, and consistency. And yeah, I think the balance of networking versus work as well, and output, because you of course can get a big new project, which is great, but you've constantly got to be thinking about what's coming next. So you need to keep feeding that momentum, I suppose, which is interesting. And also, I really enjoy what I do. I love retail, I love beauty brands, I love how it's being disruptive, but that means it's really hard for me to switch off. So that work-life balance versus managing time. And
that was exactly what I was just about to ask you, saying that, because it sounds like you'd get leads coming in, and the question about time management is key, because you love what you're doing. What if and because you're in consultancy and every project's got a lot of value, you're going to be doing long days at times, aren't you? So do you ever get to a point where you're having to say no to things, or you just find more hours? If it's the right project, you just find more hours in a day?
Yeah, I have just been finding more hours, and I also work with other people as well. So for me, but it's not about me having my own business and doing everything myself. It's really about collaborating with others. So when I get a big project, I really enjoy working with other specialists in different areas. So I suppose for me to lead them, and they help kind of execute things.
Within your business, it is just you?
Yeah, so it's me, and then I have a virtual team that I work with, and then also on key projects I'll bring specialists in as well.
So what's the virtual team?
So I have somebody that helps me with my marketing, somebody that helps me with my online courses, somebody that helps me with general admin. I then have somebody
full time, or are they on like retainers? Sorry,
they're part time.
Okay.
So yeah, I think so many people freelance now. It's quite easy to be flexible based on, which I've really enjoyed, based on, I suppose, how busy you are, and then you can really ramp things up when you have other projects on. And I did a big project recently, which was about a big fragrance company and brand positioning for them in the UK. So I worked with somebody who was a PR specialist because I knew they would really understand branding. So when I had another big project on, she was able to help with that big project and kind of work alongside me.
And so when you mentioned freelancing, I was listening to a podcast the other day when they were talking about an interview with a guy called Seth Godin.
Yeah.
And he was talking about freelancing and really raving about it. It's kind of what he does on the flip side versus the entrepreneur. And he was saying, to be successful as a freelancer, you'd only need about 20 clients, like maximum, because obviously your time and everything else. But if you've got 20, so if you were to go into freelancing and you're selling your own skill set, you probably don't have to worry about finding like hundreds and hundreds of clients. You just need to find the right 20. I think it is. But even then, that's easier said than done. So then when you get a project then and you realise you've got a gazillion other things that don't hit your exact skill set, you've got other people that you can call upon from the industry,
or people that I know have got the same skill set as me, so we can expand. So one of the big things for me with networking, not only with clients, potential clients, was also networking with other people that do freelance or consultancy as well. So it's almost getting to know them and how they worked, what their skill set was it and it being complementary to mine. And also people that can execute things as well is really important.
Amazing. So what do you love best? Just the fact that you work with varying amount of different.
Yeah, I had the variety and just the way beauty is so fast paced, and I love knowing everything that's going on, and I suppose being ahead of the trends and can see how I think it's being led by the customer and what consumer behaviour is. I think is really interesting, because that's why these independent brands are scaling so quickly, because the customers really want a brand that resonates with their own brand values, and they can connect with them very quickly over social media and purchase. So a lot of barriers to entry have been broken down over the last 5 years.
And do you look at brands that resonate with you and have the same core values as like what you work towards, or essentially you're just open to other brands out there, and you might sometimes think, oh, that's not really a brand for me, but you still find it interesting to work with them anyway and just see a different.
Yeah, and I can generally see opportunity in most brands. And actually, I remember when I was buying accessories, I think one of the most interesting brands I bought was Juicy Couture at the time. It was not my taste, but it almost made it easier to buy because I could picture that customer and picture that pink velour tracksuit. And I was like, which one's got the most diamantes on? Great, we'll buy the most of those.
Oh, okay, amazing.
So actually, sometimes it's easier to think about things. I find, and maybe that's my experience as a buyer for many years, is you always think about the customer. It's not about what I like. It's about who the customer is and who you're, I suppose, making that product or brand for.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree that it's easier. If I'm ever working with brands and we're chatting through where they want to be and what they want to do, if they've got a really clear idea of who their customer is and they can describe them to a T, I much prefer working with those guys, because it just makes things a lot simpler rather than going on this random little walk all around the place. So how are you finding it now at the moment with everyone? Because obviously networking is huge for you, and events and speaking, and everyone's on lockdown. So how is it having an impact on you at the minute? Are you finding?
I'm actually really enjoying it, because it's forced me to chill out a bit, which I've definitely been needing to do.
You look really chilled out anyway. You're not normally like this. Is this because
no?
Oh, really?
Oh, I am. People say I often look calm on the outside, but I think on the inside, my mind's going 20 million times. But actually, I think you can see I'm still chatting to people, still connecting. I mean, we're doing this digitally, which is great. Whereas I think before, you just meet everyone, and then it takes ages to get in the diary. And so I think actually you can maximise your time a bit more effectively, and prioritise, or just squeeze a little bit more in. So
I'm really finding that at the moment. Normally, I completely agree. When you're trying to set up a meeting with someone to have an initial chat about a project or anything, even if it was something like this, normally I'd meet someone for a coffee and then or a drink, and then you're looking at diaries and it never really works properly. But now everyone's got this time on their hands, it seems. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock, like the amount of responses that tend to be like that, and still this face-to-face. The flip side as well, a lot of people at the moment were talking on the phones, but people are much more happy just to connect via Zoom or FaceTime or WhatsApp now. Everyone else used to think I was a bit of a weirdo, because all the teams at work, I used to constantly just FaceTime them. They're like, why are you FaceTiming me? And now it's like, I've been preparing you for this moment.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. It's going to hopefully create some new ways of working for people, for sure.
Yeah, there'll be loads of opportunities that come from that, won't there? And so how would, if you're resonating with people, how do they get in touch with you?
My website, which is wizzandco.com, Wizz, W-I-Z-Z, no H. And Instagram, I put a lot on Instagram and a lot of on LinkedIn. So my Instagram handle is wizz.and.co. Just connect through there, DM me, sign up to my emails, because that's where I communicate most things about events that are coming up, and blogs that I write, or videos that I do. So.
I was almost going to end it prematurely then. So the blogs that you write, how do you get inspired to write certain blogs?
It's what comes into my head, really. I have lots of ideas, so it's mainly focused on what will help brands. So during lockdown at the moment, so I quickly wrote one on how to think about your digital presence. So I think it's been quite an interesting time. People have either been great at digital or don't know what to do, and I think a lot of people have been worried about it. So I wrote a blog about some action steps to do that. So retail strategy, how to pitch to buyers, the importance of content and communication, and how ultimately how things can lead to sales. So
are you vlogging as well, or just blogging?
I've recorded my first videos this week, so hopefully they'll be live by the time this goes live. So starting YouTube. So I'm really ramping up all of the digital things at the moment. So.
And do you find that different to public speaking, even though because you essentially you are going to be talking to a lot of people, but you're essentially just chatting to yourself? I know loads of people that are really comfortable doing that, and again, that's why I like doing this, because I get to just chat with people. But you found that comfortable?
No, not at all.
Oh, really?
I find that really hard. Yeah.
You find that harder than public speaking?
Yeah, I mean, at first I procrastinated over it for about 3 months, and doing bits and pieces, and I don't know why. I don't know. I think it's once you start doing things as well, you get used to it, don't you? So the more you do things, the easier it gets. But I don't know. It's I'll get better, but it's still a bit uncomfortable.
I keep contemplating doing that myself, but not yet. The podcast thing is the one that's actually taken me absolutely out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You've done a great job.
That's why I put that on LinkedIn, just to force my hand and make me do it. So people like you are making it easy, to be honest, Wiz. So thanks so much, and thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
I'll put it on there, and I'll share some links so people can get in touch with you if they want to as well.
Fantastic. Cool. Thank you very much.
All the best. Thanks a lot. Take care.